Are you willing to sacrifice consistency for an extremely powerful effect? That is something I have been kind of thinking a lot lately ever since I started playing this deck, and I know it's been a while since my last How Good Is Blank video, and I thought it would be a nice return to this series with, in my opinion, one of the most hyped right lines over the whole build race so far, Drajeweled. But yeah, if you guys enjoy this kind of content, consider like, share and subscribe, and hit that bell to keep up with all the notifications. I make Vanguard content semi-regularly, so if you guys enjoy this kind of content, these actions will really help me to know that you're enjoying it, and at the same time it will help my channel a lot. So without further ado, let's start off with the right lines. So we start off with Jewel Core Dragon, which has two abilities. When this unit is rolled upon by Demonic Stone Dragon Jewel New, call this card to Vanguard Circle, and then auto on Vanguard. When this unit attack or boost, this unit gets 5k until the end of that battle, and at the end of that battle, put this unit into your soul. This is mandatory. Among the Wild Race trial deck, this card is by far the most powerful, and for a very good reason. It has not only a use in the Drajeweled itself as an early rush card, it also have a very powerful use outside Drajeweled as a very powerful utility card that allow you to essentially just +1 to your soul and have a 13k booster. And this actually matters a lot in a good number of decks, with the exception of a very few. So an extremely versatile card, and kind of deserves a price tag of 10 bucks just for a common version of this card. Demonic Stone Dragon Jewel also have one ability that is generic and one ability which is related to the right line. When this unit attack hits, regardless of whether it's Vanguard or Vanguard, Soul Charge 1. And when this unit is rolled upon by a Drajeweled unit, Soul Charge 1. And if you have 3 different grades in your soul, you can draw a card. Simplicity at its best is what I would describe Jewel, as its on hit effect is not bad at all, as it does help to build toward the main goal of the deck. But its second ability that related to Drajeweled is actually really great, because it's essentially guaranteed to have at least 4 cards in your soul and at least a guaranteed draw. And then we move on to Drajeweled, in which there's 2 variants of it, so I will cover the trial deck version first before we cover the main one. And the trial deck version has 3 skills. When this card would be rolled upon, it is also regarded as Demonic Jewel Dragon Drajeweled. And then auto Vanguard, when it's in attack of Vanguard, so blast 4 with different grade, shoot one of your opponent Vanguard until the end of turn, increase or decrease its power to 1. And if your opponent Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit get critical +1. And then last skill, constant Vanguard, if you soul blast 4 or more cards at the same time for the cost of your card ability this turn, this unit get power +5k. This gives us a glimpse to what does Drajeweled actually do as a deck. A selective soul charge for a very powerful effect. And let's be real guys, this is a very clunky effect to pull off, as 4 different grades in the soul is not exactly that easy if you want to activate it consistently. However, its payoff is actually very powerful, because this particular skill does reset any type of defensive once it attacks. So if you have a way for your Vanguard to attack to your opponent Vanguard first, and then they pull a defensive, you can just bring that power down to 1, and that additional crit is extra nice to have. However, this does have one big issue, and that is the fact that it does need a selective soul blast, which is far from being easy. However, its true form does help to mitigate the issue just a little bit. Demonic Jewel Dragon Drajeweled has only 2 skills, one of which is the power reducing ability that we see with the last version of himself, and one brand new ability, Counter Blast 1 once per turn, Soul Charge 2. And if you soul charge 2 different grades by this effect, draw a card. The brand new ability does bring a plus and quite a few minus. It's plus in a sense that it does help to reach that 4 different grades in the soul to activate the skill, and also give you a free draw. However, its ability to soul charge is a little bit inconsistent, because you have a high chance of soul charging 2 of the same grades, 2 of the grade that you don't need at all, or even soul charge double trigger or even over trigger. So essentially there's a lot of things that can go wrong with this ability, but it's still an okay ability to have. But the biggest minus, in my honest opinion, is the fact that this ability does help the deck somewhat, and its necessity for the ability to be there by turn 3 as well. And because of that, you can't really run both versions of the Drajeweled in the deck, without sacrificing your turn 3 turn completely, and that is why I say it has both plus and minus. Some of you might now wonder why am I putting Drajeweled so high in my previous tier list video then, if it is so inconsistent. Well, fortunately Drajeweled did get a good number of support that really helped him to play that particular playstyle a little bit more consistently. But to keep things short, I will only mention a few cards that does perform extremely well in the niche that Drajeweled really needs. So let's start off with consistency niche. We have Falcate Performer. When this unit boosts you up to 1 card from your drop zone, and if you do not have the same grade with that card in your soul, put it into your soul. So essentially this card always guarantee you to have a different unit in your soul with different grades at all times as long as you boost this card every single turn. And this is quite an important piece to pull very early game because it is free, it is a very decent booster, so it allows you to rush very consistently early game as well. Of course, Performer is not the only card that help to boost Drajeweled consistency. We have Sherry, Crystal Gala, Barra, and Fogger. These are still a very powerful card to use, but not as good and important as Falcate Performer. In terms of offense, we have Demonic Stone Dragon, Rock Agua. Auto on Vanguard once per turn. When this unit attack a grade 3 or greater unit, if your soul has 4 or more cards with different grades, this unit gets power plus 20 until the end of turn. And then Auto Vanguard, when you soul blast 4 or more cards at the same time for the cost of your Vanguard's ability, if your opponent Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, counter blast 1 and stand this unit. The most important fact of Rock Agua is the fact that this card allows you to attack with the rear guard first, hoping for opponent defensive, and then reset power later on with Drajeweled skill, and then hit their restand, you get another 3 attack as usual. And what makes this card so scary is also the fact that this card does have compatibility with Quenlu, which is by far one of the most busted card in Dark States. Ragua and Quenlu is, in my opinion, one of the strongest endgame combo you have ever seen, at least in the Dark State deck in general. Now let's move on to the pros and the cons of Drajeweled. For the pros, the deck does have quite a few good points. For one, it does have extremely strong endgame in the form of Drajeweled effects and Rock Agua plus Quenlu attacks, which also lead to its second point of the pros being a multi-attack deck, Rock Agua. And then the deck does have quite a strong utility in the form of cards like Sherry, Falcate, and Restore Killer, which does give you a quite a Swiss knife of a deck in terms of what they can provide. However, there is quite a few and very important cons that you need to take note of if you're playing a Drajeweled. For one, the deck is very inconsistent. Because of the fact that you need 4 different grades in your soul, this means that you are very key piece reliant on getting all the cards that help you to build up your soul to hit 4 different grades in your soul for the triggers of the ability as well. Also, the deck is surprisingly draw reliant in a sense that like you need to get quite a lot of draws, and despite all the help from Restore Gala or cards like Sherry, it's still quite limited in terms of hand size, as unlike decks like McMegane, the deck cannot get a quality guard in their hand. And here is my current deck list of Drajeweled. The very interesting thing about this deck is that you can kind of interchange your trigger between full crit and draws to full fronts and draws, or mixed picture between the two. And because of that fact, it's allow you to have some interesting interaction and kind of make it a little bit unpredictable in a sense. You might notice that I do not run 4 copy of Quenlu, and that is due to the fact that running 4 kind of break the deck because of depend on the situation on the field, so there's a chance to whiff. So I decided not to run 4 copy and rather run something a little bit more useful in terms of consistency instead. And yeah, that is it for Drajeweled deck and what I think about it. It's a very powerful deck that definitely deserves to be in A tier, despite all the inconsistency that they do have. But what do you guys think? Do leave down in the comments below what you guys think of Drajeweled in general. And yeah, that's all I have for today. Take care of yourself, and this is McMegane signing out.